Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, author of epic fantasy romance. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. Ah, so delicious. Today is Monday, April 14th, and I am back from Apollycon, which was a great experience. I felt like it was better than last year. Um, Not sure if I can completely say why. Um, it was better for me. And yeah, I had a great time. So I flew there on Wednesday, and my flights were all very smooth. I did not finish A Rose in the Mirror before I left. Uh, I drove. I went down and stayed in an airport hotel in Albuquerque on Tuesday night. So I got almost 3,000 words on Tuesday. Working on the plane, I got Planeza. I got 2,500 more words, so very productive on the plane, but was still not done. So um, when I got to Apollycon on Wednesday, checked into my room. It was great because Marriott Bonvoy gave us a room upgrade, so we had a room with a balcony overlooking the atrium, which was really nice to have to be able to sit out there. It's this enormous glass atrium, and so it's all enclosed, which is good because it was freaking cold there. I mean, a lot of times it was like 40 degrees and windy and rainy, um, but it was beautiful to be inside and look out. So I did a quick change in my room, changed my clothes, went to the author reception. So I got there late. It was going 2:30 to 5:30, and yeah, I got there at, I landed at like 3:15 and I got to the hotel by 4. I think I was at the party by 4:15 or so. Uh, and I immediately saw Dina Ray, who was acting as my assistant for the conference. Corrine will want me to specify that it was temporary only, although her badge did say assistant. Just saying, Corrine, we did send her a picture of Dina with the assistant badge just to just to be evil. Um, all in good fun. All in good fun, Corrine. And Jennifer Estep was there, and I got to meet Lizette Marshall. She was at the party, and Bella Roth, and a few other people came by and hung out and talked with us, and that was fun. I was still not completely up on my physical game, so I had like one glass of wine, and it was an open bar. I was very sad. And then Dina and Jennifer and I went out to dinner. I do think it's a funny thing that, I just love free alcohol. And when I don't feel like drinking it, I feel like this is probably a messed up thing for me. But um, yeah, but if I didn't feel good drinking it, I didn't. So there was that. Um, and I did nibble on the food some, but not a lot of appetite. But then the three of us went out to dinner just in the hotel because the party was very, very loud, and I'd been traveling all day. We all had, actually, although Dina lives locally, so she just had to drive, but she'd had to get our whole thing together. Anyway, we went to the Hickory Steakhouse and had a very nice, quiet table, and it was exactly the right speed. And Jennifer lives on East Coast time, but she is also an early to bed person. And yeah, I sat out on the balcony for a little while and watched the lights. They have a big light show on the atrium. But then I went to bed and got up early and took a walk, got my Starbucks, and then I worked on the freaking book. I went down to the atrium and found a tall table so I could at least stand, because you all know I don't like to sit and write very much. I mean, I can do it, but I was very happy being able to stand. And I finished that book on Thursday. And let me tell you, people, I wrote 3,986 words to finish that book. So almost 4,000 words on that Thursday. And it came out to 113,359 words. And I sent it off to Deanna and Allie, and so that was awesome. And I had told myself that if I finished the book that day, that I could have, that I could go to the spa and have a body polish, because I just love a body polish, get off the lizard skin. And so I finished at, well, let me tell you at exactly what time I finished, if we care. I finished at 2:30. I started at 9:15 and took very short breaks. I did take one longer break. I got to sit in the hotel room on the balcony and have a long conversation with Susan Lee, who I don't always get to talk to. So that was very nice. Sat there and nibbled on my leftovers from the night before. Still not a lot of appetite. In fact, body warning, that kind of thing. But I weighed myself this morning now that I'm back, and I gained no weight at all at the conference, which is nice, but also super unusual for me. So yeah, I finished at 2:30 and sent it off. And so then I went up to the spa, and they just happened to have an appointment for a body polish. So I was filling out my paperwork, and the gal came back and she said, "Oh, the only person we have here only does facials, not body work. Do you want a facial?" And I was all no, because, okay, little known fact about me, I don't know if anybody cares, I don't like facials. And when I was telling this story to Jennifer Estep, who I obviously roomed with, she's like, "How do you not like facials? I love facials." And I'm like, I don't like them. Periodically, I try them, and I'm never happy. I think it's because I have princess skin, and my skin reacts to the stuff they put in the facials. And yeah, do not like them, Sam. I did used to try them periodically. I've stopped. I just don't like them. Do not like them on a house. Do not like them with a mouse. So anyway, I was all, oh, well, bummer, because I thought it was going to work out perfectly. But no. But then she said she could get me a body polish the next morning, Friday morning at 10, and I could get there at like 9:30. And the only problem with all of that was that I needed to set up my table. The signing started at 1 on Friday, and I needed to be in there and help Dina set up the table. And so we had arranged to set it up very early before that, rather than leaving it till after. And and then things happened. I'll try to tell this in sequence. So instead of my body polish, I took a long shower and did my own self buffing and hung out for a little bit, went down and had a drink in the bar because they gave us free wine, and I cannot pass up free wine. I tried drinking red wine, and no. But then I went to the Bramble cocktail party for authors. That was at like 6 at Succotash, which is this little local restaurant. And so they had a table set up in the bar, and Janine Frost was there. And let me tell you, I am such a longtime fangirl of Janine Frost. Her books were one of the, what was it ever, like One Foot in the Grave, was one of the first 3 books I loaded onto my brand new Kindle back in the day. And I was an early adopter. And her cliffhanger ending prompted me to buy the next book via my Kindle immediately. And that was the first time that I was able to do the immediate gratification. So Janine didn't come to the conference, but she had taken the train up to meet with her editor, Erica Singh, who was at the party, and Monique Patterson was there. And so I got to hang out and have drinks with Janine Frost, and we were having a great time. And Danielle Allen was there. I hadn't met her before. She was lovely. I think Juliet Cross had not arrived. But Sarah Beth Durst was at the cocktail party. So, like I'm hanging out chatting with Janine, and we're, they have hors d'oeuvres set out for us. And, it was really nice. It's lovely to be feted by your publisher that way. It makes you feel special. And then J.R. Ward shows up. And I read The Black Dagger Brotherhood ages ago, also before I was a writer, and loved her books. And I've seen J.R. Ward over the years, but never actually chatted with her. And so Janine and I were both like equally fangirling over J.R. Ward. And we were like, oh, I can't believe I'm having drinks with J.R. Ward. And of course, Monique Patterson like almost immediately spirited J.R. Ward off and took her to like the end of the table. But we did get to have our fangirl moment. There is a photo, and I haven't gotten to see it yet. So anyway, that was great. Then I went back to the hotel, and the Faro girls had a big table, and we're having drinks and stuff. And I hung out for a little while, but by then I was tired. And so I went to bed fairly early, seeing if Killian's tangled up. He was very happy to see me. I think he's a little tangled up. I'll be right back. We were hung up and we had to come in and get petted. So if you're on video, you will see that he is now up on my desk getting attention. He's been very clingy since I returned. My poor baby cat. Yeah. So then a little self-created snafu for Thursday morning was that some of my friends were going out for breakfast, including Nalini Singh. And Nalini is someone who I have not seen since before the pandemic because she lives in New Zealand, so she hasn't been to the U.S. in a long time. As a general note, they had no trouble traveling into the country. They did consider not coming, but she and her mom and sister were all there. So they came to breakfast with us at 7:30. So, and Jennifer was going to, and I kind of self-invited myself because Jennifer had said she was going to go do this. And I said, oh, because Amanda Boucher was organizing it. And Amanda had said, no more people. And I said, well, I don't have to go. And Jennifer said, oh, well, I'd already asked her. And Amanda said that was fine. So it ended up being a gal I'd never met before, Lish McBride, and then Nalini and her mom and sister, and Jennifer, and Amanda's friend Callie, and was that all of us? I'm not going to count. Anyway, it was really nice to talk to Nalini again. And I don't know if I've told the story before. I haven't told it recently, but when I was a brand newbie author, okay, you can go. Sorry, booted the kitty off the desk. And I was in New York City at the RWA conference, and I got to go to the Harlequin party for the first time. And the Harlequin parties were amazing. And but I made my first sale to Carina Press, which was an imprint of Harlequin. So I got to go to the party, and it was offsite at the Waldorf Astoria rooftop ballroom. And it was a black and white ball. And I'm waiting at the taxi stand. I'm going there late because I was at another party first for FFP, and I was one of the organizers, so I had to do that. So I'm waiting at the taxi stand, and this petite woman with a black bob comes up to me and she says, are you going to the Harlequin party? And I was like, how did you guess? And she said, would you like to share a taxi? And it was Nalini, and who was totally famous at this point, bestseller and all of this. And I had read her books. And she was so nice to me. We talked in the cab, and she asked about my books. And then at the party, she kept coming around and checking on me and asking if people were being nice to me. So I've had Nalini on the podcast. I interviewed her a long time back. You could probably find that. Now Kitty wants out. So this meant that I went to breakfast at 7:30, Jennifer and I like got up and did makeup and all this. We're like, why are we doing this to ourselves? And I even asked her, as we're both, and they have like the his and her sync, so we're both putting on our makeup. And I said, what time does the thing start tomorrow? Because I was thinking maybe it was like 9 or 10. I could, take it a little bit easier. She says 8. No way. And she's like, so yeah, she said, you could have slept in, but no. Um, so we walked over to this place at a neighboring hotel, which was a lot less busy. And I had bananas Foster French toast, which was incredible, with caramelized and everything. Great conversation, had a lot of fun catching up, was really glad I did. I had to leave first. I had to get paid up and leave so that I could go meet Dina. I got there late. I told her 8:30. I think I got there by 8:45. Spent an hour helping set up the booth, and then I went for my body polish, which was a little more rushed feeling than I wanted, but it was also fantastic, and so glad I did that. And then went and got changed for the um, signing for the afternoon. Fortunately, I only had to touch up my hair and makeup. The practitioner was great. And was running around because we were doing these charm bracelets, which were great. They turned out really well. They were super pretty. I should show you. So we sold these charm bracelets, and all these different authors had charms. So if you're on video, you can see a lot of these were mine. I had a whole bunch of different kinds, and I'll continue to do that as I do book tour and stuff. Uh, but there were 6 of us, and so I had to like print out maps of the different tables, and but it turned out to be awesome. It was really a fun thing to do. The readers loved it, and yeah, oh, it was great. Uh, it meant that I was pretty much running up until the moment that the doors opened. We did that 5-hour signing that Friday afternoon from 1 to 6. And then, and then we don't get out of there right at 6. And then I had to be at the Bramble reader party at 7, which fortunately only went till about 8:30 or so, but it was great. People won copies of ARCs of Never the Roses, and they were so enthusiastic. So a lot of them came by my table the next day to get those signed. And then the next day we went from 8 to 12 and then 2 to 6 on Saturday. Highlight of that day was in the middle of the day. Again, the Bramble team had lunch for us at that Hickory Steakhouse in the hotel, which was amazing. Many props to Giselle for setting that up for us because it was so great to just be able to go. My assistant Dina could go with us. Met some really fun people. Uh, had an amazing crab cake and steak frite, and it was delicious and so nice to just sit there. And then I went and closed my eyes for like 20 minutes, power nap, got to the afternoon, went and there's a place that's like not far from the conference hotel that's Mason's Famous Lobster Rolls, and I can't get good lobster rolls here. So I went and got my lobster roll takeout and sat in the lobby bar with Dina and answered some questions for her. We had just a nice, quiet time together. And I noticed Jennifer and I were in bed by 8:54 on Saturday evening. She had a super early flight. She had to get up at like 3:30. I didn't have to get up till about 6, which is still 4 Mountain Time. But then my travel home was fine, and got home and did a bunch of housework, unpacked, put things away. And so now my plan for this week is I'm not going to write. I'm not going to do any writing at all this week. I'm going to give myself a mental rest. I know you're all happy for me. And I've got a bunch of things I want to try to get done around the house. Clean out the garage to fit the new car in. I want to clean out the closet of doom and get that organized. I might do some painting, maybe do some furniture shopping for the casita. We'll see how that goes, and that kind of thing. So and look, here it is at 20 minutes. So yeah, that was Apollycon in a nutshell. I hope you all have a great week. I plan to, and I will talk to you all on Friday. You all take care. Bye bye.